everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books, and welcome to what I have been reading over the last week. Hey you guys, welcome back. So I was a little bit kind of odd on how I was going to title this because I don't know if this is going to be a reading wrap up or if this is going to be, no, it's all things K. Webster. That's what it is, because it's everything that I have been reading of K. Webster, and it's been fantastic. So let me, without further ado, get into it. Okay, so the first duet that I want to talk about is, and I'm not sure what she calls it, but the first book is Hidden Truths and Stolen Lies, and it is fantastic. They're almost like novella length, if you will. They're itty bitty. This could have been one book and it would have been fantastic. They're K. Webster's writing. She writes in a way that's like super easy to digest in like very, very, very quickly. Okay. And so I love it because I can just blow through these. They're like candy. I just gobble them up. So the first book, Hidden Truths, is about Kostas and Talia. And we are first introduced to Talia. She is a university student living in Italy with her family, and she is studying drama, and she is getting ready to go back to university. She is visiting for like a little bit of a holiday break or something. She is with her boyfriend, Alex. They go to dinner with her brother and her mother and her stepfather. And her brother gets a call from her bio dad, their dad, and says, Dad needs to see you ASAP. And you're to return to, you're to fly to meet him tonight. And she's like, no, Alex and I are leaving to go to Chicago. Like, we're going on break. We're out. And he's like, you're not leaving. You're getting on the plane and you got to go see Dad. And so that's the end of it. And so she's like, she's estranged from her father. She hasn't had any real connection with him, but she's like, fine, I don't have a choice. And Mom is like, honey, don't worry about it. Her and her new husband, she's like, well, make sure that everything is okay. Just go ahead and do what you need to do. So she flies to meet her husband, and she's flown to like an island off of Crete in Greece. And, she is flown to a hotel, and she gets all set up. Her brother's with her. He's like, we'll find out what Dad wants. It's all good. Over that night, she's like, rest up tonight and we'll meet with him first thing in the morning, and I'll pick you up at X time. So that night she goes out for a midnight swim. She runs into a guy that is in the grotto, like in the area, and he's standing at a statue of Proserpina. And she has a conversation about the statue and what Proserpina is, because Proserpina in Greek mythology was kidnapped and taken to the underworld. And as she was taken to the underworld, it's a controversy as to whether she wanted to be there. Was she held against her will? Did he assault her? Did she like it? Did she want it? There's that whole conversation. So these two get into, Talia and this unknown guy get into this conversation, and she just decides that this guy's an asshole. He doesn't understand mythology. He thinks he knows it all. He's an asshole. Like, I can't stand him. Like, he's just a piece of work. She's like, I'm out. So she leaves, and on the way back to her room, she sees a bar, and she's like, because she's like in a resort, in a hotel. She sees a bar, and so she's like, I'm just going to get a drink. It'll probably help me sleep, get my nerves, work off my nerves, like whole thing. So she meets this charismatic guy. He's got an amazing smile. Like, he's just the bee's knees. And she has a great night with him. He's like, how about we have another one? And she's thinking about it, but she's like, this guy's too smooth. She's like, you know what? She goes, no, I'm going to go to my room, like whatever. And by the time she gets up to her room, she must just pass out. She doesn't remember anything. So the next day, her brother comes and gets her. She meets with her dad, and now her dad is in a room full of mobsters. It's clear that this is a mob setup, and she's like, what is going on? And it is laid out to her that she is to marry the head of this Greek organization's son to pay off her father's gambling debts, because he is indebted like millions and millions of dollars. And the way that he's going to pay that off is that he is going to marry her and her virginity off to his son. And lo and behold, the son is the guy that she was arguing with about the statue of Proserpina, who she hates. And lo and behold, the guy that she met at the bar that was really charismatic and cool is his younger brother. And the story sort of unfolds from there. And it is so fantastic because nothing is as it seems. There is so many hidden truths, so many stolen lies, so many things that she thinks she knows that she doesn't. It's a fantastic story that is told, forward and backward from many different POVs, and people that you think are safe are not safe, and people that you don't think are safe, and it just is fantastic. It's fast paced, it's fun, it's very spicy. If it's a K. Webster book, like, the sex is off the chart on the page. It's fantastic. It's so good. So I gave this a 5 out of 5 star. I gave it a 4 in angst and a 4 in spice. It is really wonderful and fantastic. And so here is the wrap up of the story of all the things that happen. And it's told from the POV of the person she settles with. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to spoil it. And there are so many lies and so many things that you don't think are going to happen. There are some trigger warnings that go down in this particular book that you need to be aware of. So check out the trigger warnings. It is a dark romance. So know that there's all the things that go along with a dark romance. And you watch Talia grow on page, and you watch Talia find her own and become who she is meant to be. And obviously this is a mafia-esque or a mafia-light situation. So the things that go along with mafia situations, like revenge and, intrigue and plot and lies and assassinations, and all those things are going down in this book. And like seeking revenge is like the biggest thing. You wronged me, and you're going to pay in blood, sweat, and tears for everything that you did to me. And this comes out in here, and it is a fantastic wrap up. And I absolutely loved it. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 star, and I gave it a 4 in spice, and I gave it a 4 in angst. And usually all K. Webster books, for me, that is like the standard rating. 5, 4, 4, for sure. Okay, so the next one, let me set it up like this. Dangerous Press, as I understand it, is starting to slowly release all of its books on audio. Okay, so all the books that have already been written are getting put out on audiobook now. The problem with Dangerous Press is it's not like you can go to Dangerous Press and find a website to say these are all the books that are put out in Dangerous Press. You can go on Goodreads, and there is a Dangerous Press shelf, and you can see all the books that are written in this world. And the world mainly is a mafia world set in New York that is two warring factions or families that have been warring since the beginning of time. And that is the Constantines and the Morellis. Those are the two warring factions. Okay. And so every book or all the series or duets or trilogies that are written from Dangerous Press are either about the Morellis or the Constantines. You are either Team Constantine or you're Team Morelli. Okay, so having said that, because there's no reading order, I didn't know how to read these particular books, and I want you not to make the mistake that I did. Not that it matters, it really does. It didn't matter at all. Like, you can read these, they're meant to be standalones, you can read them in any order. However, in this particular instance, the storylines go together. Okay, what do I mean by that? So we've got a Cinderella novel, Cinderella trilogy, written by K. Webster, right? And you also have the Triple Threat and Death Threat. Okay, you need to read these first because it is a setup for these triplets over here, okay? Read these first so you'll know everything that's going on, you know everything that happens, and then read this. I read them the reverse. I read this first, then I read this. Now, it didn't matter because I heard all about what happened, but now I got to see it happen, if that makes sense. But if you're a purist like me, read these first, then read the triplets. So I'm going to tell it to you in this way. Okay, so let me say this. There are 3 books in this trilogy. It's A Stroke of Midnight, Prince Charming, and The Glass Slipper. And this is some daddy kink, okay? It is absolutely sugar daddy kink, degradation kink, all over the place, okay? So the first book, A Stroke of Midnight, is about Ash and Winston. Winston is a Constantine. He's the head of the Constantine clan. He's the head of the Constantine family, and he is a mogul. He owns a conglomerate. He is the richest man in New York and holds down multiple properties and is no one to be messed with. He is meticulous, he's precise, he's a little bit OCD, and he doesn't play games, and don't cross him for sure because he will take you out and then some, okay? So that is Winston Constantine. Ash lives with her father. She is getting ready to be a student at NYU, And her mother has passed away. Her father remarried a plastic surgeon. The plastic surgeon has 3 sons, triplets. The triplets' name are Sparrow, Sully, and Stout. Okay? And these triplets are monsters, okay? They are monsters. They're lacrosse players. They drive black Audis. They think that they are the shit. They think they can do whatever they want. They are mafia adjacent. They are just like a little gang in and of themselves. And they decide that they are going to hurt you. Like, for whatever reason, they're going to take you out. And they set their sights on Ash. Even though Ash is their stepsister, they decide as triplets, they all have the same desires. They all want her. And she is theirs, and they are going to take her. Lo and behold, she took a job at one of Winston's sort of high-rise buildings. Think of the high-rise as like Trump Towers. I know it's a terrible name to mention, but think of it like Trump Towers. She's working at the towers as a housekeeper, and he sees first of all, he goes into his office and he sees that his office is in disarray. When I say disarray, there's like a Jolly Rancher candy wrapper on the ground, and it just sets him off. So he goes to the security footage and he checks the security footage to see like who the hell was in my office and who was this cleaning lady, and he sees her, Ash. He's like, she's the worst cleaning lady ever. Like, she doesn't even know what she's doing. Like, this is terrible. Like, you know what? Get her. And he calls. He's like, get this cleaning lady in here. I want to talk to her. And so he brings her in, and he sees that she's barely 18. She's just turned 18. He is like 34, 36, something like that. And he decides that he is going to embark in a relationship with her. And that relationship that they embark on is one of degradation kink, as well as he pays her for every depraved act that she does. So they engage in an exchange of a relationship. So like, if you walk around with no bra on, I'll pay you, what's it worth? $100. If you don't take your panties off, I'll pay you XYZ. And that is really what is happening here in this particular book. And it's definitely very much daddy kink. And then also we're starting to see that she is being targeted by the triplets, and the triplets are trying to destroy her. And, you know, they ran off her first boyfriend, and now that they see she's hanging out with Winston, they're like, we're going to run him off too. And so that's pretty much what happens in here. And like I said, it's a 5-4-4. So then over here, you know, Winston is basically saying, I'm not your Prince Charming, girl. I'm not the one. Like, I see you got stars in your eyes. Like, this is not our arrangement. Like, don't get it twisted. And so it's much more of the degradation kink. It's much more of the story of how he seeks to protect her, even though he's fighting against this idea that they're going to be anything more than that. And the Morelli, the Morelli twins, we start to see how, or triplets, we start to see how they're tied into the story and how they're tied into the Morellis, because you're either one camp or the other. And the Morellis start to see that Ash means something to Winston Constantine, and if you mean something to Winston Constantine, that means you're a target for the Morellis, and they're going to swoop you up. And they're going to swoop you up using the triplets to do so. And so the story evolves from there, and there's just so much shit that goes down in here. It's insane. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. But I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. It was fast-paced and really, really good. And then this is the wrap up, the glass slipper of all of the lies and the intrigue and everything that's happened and all of the secrets that are being revealed. And it also gives you a fantastic epilogue as well. So it gives you a really nice introduction into the world of the Constantines. And it also sets it up for other books. Like, so the mother of the Constantine clan, she has a book. And she has a series written by another author. Like I said, the triplets in the Morellis, they have another story. Gianna Darling in her Dream Nightmare Duet, that series, which I ordered, that is another book in, I believe she's writing on the Morelli side as well. So if you go on the Goodreads page, you can see, and the best thing that I can recommend until I get this all sorted, and I will do a video on this in the future, but the best thing I can say at this point is to read them in publication order. If you read them in publication order, then I think you'll be safe, and you'll may not be reading them in the order like chronologically of how events occurred, but at least you'll be reading them as they were published, and so there's nothing to be lost in that. So that's the glass slipper, and that wraps up the Cinderella trilogy. Now we go into the triplet story. Like, if you're like, them damn triplets were something, I want to know what's going on with Sparrow and Stout and Sully or Sullivan, I want to know what's going on more about them, then you come over here. And I gotta say, because I read these two together, I loved this story. Like, this was sexy and spicy, and you were like, damn, this is some steam over here. This was fantastic. This has steam, but the storyline is amazing. I absolutely loved it. So the first book is Triple Threat, and the next book is Death Wish. And these books were so good. Like, I read both of these in one day, and I read these two in one day because I wasn't playing around. I was like, what? I need more of this in my life. Okay, so let me tell you about Triple Threat. So it's the billionaire. Her name is Laundry Croft, and she is the billionaire of the daughter of billionaire Alexander. Okay, and her mother died after giving birth to her sister. And so when the book starts off, like, you can tell that Laundry is in some kind of dynamic with an older man, but you're like, what is going on? And she hates him. She absolutely despises him. And the only reason why she stays is because of her younger sister that he hates and he despises, and he treats her very poorly. So very quickly, you discover that the man that she's living with is her father, and the child, Della, is her sister, and she's deaf. And she's deaf, and she uses ASL to communicate, but the father rejects her because he just looks at it like she is not worthy of my empire because she can't hear. And so the story sort of evolves from there. And so the triplets come into play because one of the Morelli clan members come to them and assign them a responsibility and a task. They're like, the Morellis are going to take down Alexander because of a past wrong that he did. And your triplets are going to help us do this. And you're going to act as one. So you're three acting as one. So Stout, this is your job. Sully, this is your job. And Sparrow, this is your job. They are to interact and seduce in different ways Laundry, but Laundry is not to know that these are triplets. She's to think that they are one person, but interacting with her in different ways. And the story evolves from there. And in the meantime, Alexander wants to ally his family with the Constantines. So he picks Ty, one of the younger cousins of the Constantines, to marry Laundry. So Ty is involved in the situation as well. So that's how the Constantines get involved. Now, you also in these books see Winston and Ash in the background, because remember, these triplets were obsessed with Ash, and they, in the beginning, are still obsessed with Ash. And so Ash comes into play. And so now the story is unfolding because we're starting to see that it never works out the way that you think it's going to work out. And the triplets start to have feelings for Laundry. But does Laundry have those same feelings for the triplets? And how does that play out? And how do you work out, like, how does it work out? Like, does she wind up with one of them? Does one of them die? Does she wind up with none of them? And that's really what the story is about. And it is, and then you've got Death Wish, and it's fantastic. There are some trigger warnings that go down in here that you need to check out in terms of what happened in overall. I'm not going to give too much away. And it is such a good story, and I loved it so much. It's definitely a taboo romance. It is a dark romance for sure. There is so much that's going on in here, but I absolutely, like, the triplets that you see over here, like, you could see it play out over here, but over here you get them. You totally get them. Or over here, you were just like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Like, it's like, yeah, it was drama for sure. But this is like just mwah, perfection. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Like, it's a 5 for sure. 4 spice, 4 angst. It's off the chart. Really, really good. I think you're really going to love it. And like I said, I will be reading more in the Dangerous Press world. I will make sure, I'm going to read Gianna Darling next. I think I'm going to get Amelia Wilde's book because that is the mother of the Constantine clan, so I can see her story. I think there are several authors, like well-known, like Skye Warren has a book in this world. So there are several romance authors that we know and have come to love that have written in this world as well. And so I do want to check out some of their books to see how it all ties in. And my understanding is that you are either Team Constantine or you're Team Morelli. And so, like, it's interesting to find out where everybody falls. Now, if you guys have read in this world, or you know more about this world, or you know a reading order, please put it in the comments below. I love to interact interact with you guys. I love to hear your comments and things that you're thinking or like thoughts about anything in particular. And as is usual, you guys are fantastic about giving me recommendations of books that you want to see me read and that you want to hear my recommendations or my thoughts on those particular books. So put them in the comments below. And then I'm going to ask you to do all the things. Hit the like button because it helps me so much. Hit the subscribe button so you know when I upload a new video, and I'm trying to post something every day. And so we'll see how long I can do that. But, oh, and the other thing is that if you're noticing and you're paying attention, my short videos that I'm doing, my shorts are going to be book recommendations for a particular content area, like Friends to Lovers, Mafia, dark romances, fantasy romances. You'll get those kinds of recommendations. And then in my longer videos like this will be my series recommendations. So like I'm going to be talking to you about whole series of books that I'm reading and letting you know like how those are and recommending them to you or telling you that they're not so good and you probably should avoid them. So having said that, you guys, that's all that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.